That? Could you not hear any of that? Is that how that worked? Fantastic. Great. Oh, just love it. Isn't life the best? It's just the best. All right. So we're sitting here watching me do this looking like a mime and then holding up alcohol. You have no idea what I said. I don't want to repeat myself, but suffice it to say, we're going to have to talk about this whole shooting incident. And I will repeat myself in saying that I'm very unhappy with the way that supposedly right-leaning people are treating this. Not in a good mood about that. That's why I'm on my third beer, okay? Just trying to relax a little bit. First, I've heard a lot of people talking about this. Oh, we got to come together. We're so divided in America. We got to come together. There is no coming together, you fool. None. How many times have I said this? How many times have I screamed this? This is how the left gets things done. They are terrorists. This is what they do. They riot, they pillage, they kill, they shoot. They grab people and drag them out of their cars and beat them up for voting for the wrong person. This is the left. This is the typical left. And the only reason it's really getting news coverage is because it was Congress people that got shot at. I didn't see a whole outcry of citizens when the video came out of the poor man that was surrounded. His car was surrounded by an angry mob because he was white. He was drug out of his car. He was beaten. His car was stolen. Sure, it got some news, but no one really cared. Now it's Congress people. And now, ooh, wait a second. We can't brush this one under the rug. Man, you know, we can't just ignore this story. And we're going to have to say something about it. So we're going to say the right things, you know. Democrats coming out saying, we're praying for you. Oh, Nancy Pelosi, thank you so much for your prayers. You pray for this to happen. That's what you do. That's who you are. These people are ridiculous. Commentators that I've seen, large and small. I checked out some smaller YouTube channels and some bigger venues, people on the radio, just listening today. And that's really the refrain from the right is, man, what's going on? Can't we all just come together? Can't we all just be happy and good? No, we can't. When you come out with the words, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just work this out and stop being violent? The answer is no. And the fact that you don't understand that makes you a great fool. One person said, look, if you disagree with Trump's policies or the Republicans' policies, fine, that is your right. I agree. So let's debate it. That's where you're wrong. You cannot debate feelings. You cannot debate emotions. And we're dealing with a left that has been so over the past Obama administration, the 8 years of that. We saw the anger building from the left as it was stoked. The fires of violence were stoked by the President of the United States and everyone in his party and the entire media. This fire was stoked. And now we're finding the fruits of that flame. If you disagree, that's fine. We could just have a debate. You cannot debate a feeling. You cannot debate what people have been conditioned to feel, not believe, feel. They take it on the inside. There is no debating that. The only thing you can do is tell them, no, it's not acceptable. And you have to do that very sternly, and you have to do that at every turn, and it has to come from every voice of power, and that never happens. The entire left will do the token responses and say, "Oh, we disavow violence. Oh no, you shouldn't do any violence." And then they support the people who commit the violence. Almost in the same breath. It's sickening and disgusting. Violence is their debate tactic. That's how they work. By the way, fine, you want to debate? Fine, you want to come together? What is a debate going to look like? What do you think we have been doing? The right has been trying to debate for I don't know how long. And the left realized long ago they can't debate with the right because we have a thing called facts. All they can do is indoctrinate, create violence, and attack people. So what does a debate look like today? What is a typical argument from the left? You don't like Trump's policies? Okay. What's your argument against Donald Trump, his policies, and the entirety of the Republican Party? Or the entirety of conservative America? What is your argument? And their argument is, do you know what it is? What's their argument? Shout it out. By the way, I Facebooked out a couple of links and tweeted out a couple of links with the Discord. If you want to call in, love to hear from you. Just click on the Discord link there, and you should be able to pop up on the thing, and I will talk to you. And love to hear what you think their argument is. I'm getting ready to tell you in just a second. They have one argument. One. So when you come out and you make you advocate for a policy or a position, you say the government needs to shrink. You say that the things that we're doing right now aren't working. It's time to change. When you say Social Security sucks and it's draining this country dry. When you say the education system is not only awful from the point of education, its entire purpose is to indoctrinate people into not being able to think. When you come out with these positions and you bring evidence and you bring facts to the table to show that everything you're saying is absolutely fundamentally 100% true, and then what is the argument? What do they shout at you? What do they come back with? You're a racist! That's what they say. That's their argument. That's their entire argument. You're a bad person. You're an immoral person. You are a racist. And because you are all these things, nothing that you advocate for can possibly be right. So how do you argue with that? How is it that you argue with that? They believe it. They are religious zealots on the left. You're not going to change their mind. The only thing we can do is through, if force if necessary, explain that their actions are unacceptable in polite society, period. And if anybody out there, and I've seen a lot of people on the right out there talking about this and just saying, we really need to calm down, we really need to calm down, we really need to calm down. No, we don't. Absolutely not. They are not, the left is not going to calm down. And understand this, okay? There's a lot of people in the media right now. There's a lot of people on the left, a lot of people in the Democrat Party that are going, okay, well, you know, everybody relax. This violence is just awful. It's terrible. It's horrible. And we can't have this in our society. They're saying the words. On the inside, they're going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Bernie Sanderses of the world are perfectly happy with this. And there are people, and then they're in their little dungeons of depression around the country. Lots of people in New York, lots of people in LA, lots of people in Chicago that are going, yeah, I'm glad they did it. Yeah, they finally got what they deserved, because that's who the left is. That's who the left is. And if we don't start calling them out on it and telling them to their face that you are violent, you are a terrorist, and you are subhuman, then we will continue to lose this fight. And there will be a civil war in this country. We have to draw a line. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening today. I don't see that happening at all. in fact. President Trump came out trying to be presidential. A lot of people are saying he did a fantastic job here. I don't think he was anywhere close to being forceful enough. Let's listen to Mr. Trump and his address on the matter.
As you all know, shortly after 7 a.m. this morning, a gunman opened fire.
A radical leftist Bernie bro. Let's get it right. A radical leftist Bernie bro looking specifically for Republicans, as he is quoted as asking someone that was there, are these Republicans or Democrats out there? Calling them out by party. Calling them out by party. Radical leftist Bernie bro.
Members of Congress and their staffs as they were practicing for tomorrow's annual charity baseball game. Authorities are continuing to investigate the crime, and the assailant has now died from his injuries.
Good. I'm glad he's dead.
The FBI is leading the investigation and will continue to provide updates as new information becomes available. Congressman Steve Scalise, a member of House leadership, was shot and badly wounded and is now in stable condition at the hospital, along with two very courageous Capitol police officers. At least two others.
This is another point that some people have brought out. I heard one guy on the radio was driving home from my meeting today, and he was talking about, well, this group of people were talking about, what are they going to do with security? Because it came off of that. We talked about it on the podcast today that one of the congressional members out there that was, involved in this, saw it happen, was one of the targets, was saying, we should have known that if we had this many Republicans in one place that we're going to get attacked. We should have known. Oh, man. And Mr. Scalise, the minority whip, because of his position within Congress, had security with him. He had a security guy with him. And apparently that security guy intervened, and the police shut up in about 3 minutes. And that's why the death toll wasn't more. Because this guy was just reloading and coming after people. That's what was happening. And the people on the radio were saying, well, what are they going to do? Well, are they going to create a number? A number where, that's too many Republicans in one place. We just can't have that much. We can't have that many Republicans in one place. And if we have more than that, then, there's a good chance for violence. Oh, man. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to back away from this, cower in fear? Well, there's no possible way we could have security for all of them. Come on. There's 500 members of Congress out there. They think of the money from the security detail. We couldn't possibly afford that. Not one of the people that I heard within that conversation, not one said, guess what? We have a Second Amendment in this country. And the Second Amendment is designed specifically for this. So that you, as a single one human being, not congressman, not American, human being, have the right to protect yourself using the most natural of means, guns. Guns are as natural as air and trees in relation to a human being. Yeah, I've made this argument many times. Understand this. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with guns. The Second Amendment is the personhood amendment. It's a recognition that a man, a woman, a human being, a person has the 100% right to defend their life, to defend their stuff against aggressors, just like any nation would have. If we were attacked by Canada, would we not have the right to lob a couple of bombs back? If we were attacked by North Korea, do we not have the right to respond? Of course we do. When we get attacked by Al-Qaeda and it knocks down buildings in New York City, do we not respond to that? Yes, we do, and we respond violently. And why is it then that an individual, a person, a sovereign citizen, a human being can be told they don't have the right to defend themselves against aggressors, whether those aggressors be fools, Bernie bros, or governments? Guns are natural. You see, human beings did not develop huge muscles, big teeth, and claws like other predators on this planet. They didn't do that. If you and I were pitted against a predator, even one that's smaller than us, in just our natural skin against theirs, we will lose. A dog, powerful dog that's half our size, could kill us fairly easily. Well, if that is the case, then why do human beings even exist on this planet? Because we have another weapon. It's called a brain. A huge, massive brain holding a conscience and a will to live. And not only that, an extreme intelligence that no other animal on this planet possesses. None. Our intelligence is our weapon. And through that intelligence, we created tools, including weapons, including guns, for that very purpose, to replace the fact that we do not have big muscles, big claws, and big teeth. Our guns, our weapons, are our natural defenses. And when government decides they're going to take it away, they're taking away your humanity. So how are we going to protect these Congress people? We're going to tell them to get off their ass and protect yourself, just like everybody else has to do. Why wasn't there anyone in that audience? There must have been some people around, right? I know it'd be difficult to conceal carry if you're wearing Spanx out on the baseball field there. Certainly. But imagine if everyone in attendance that wasn't playing at the time happened to have a firearm. Would the cops even had to show up in 3 minutes, or would this have been over? Or would somebody have seen this guy walking? Apparently, he just walked right on the field. Would somebody have seen this guy walking on the field and said, "Hey, gun," and then started pulling the trigger? What about that? Is that a possibility? Could this have ended with no bloodshed other than the attacker? Absolutely. We are not taking this seriously enough. Not in the slightest. And we're fools for not doing so.
Were also wounded. Many lives would have been lost if not for the heroic actions of the two Capitol Police officers.
Because no one else had guns.
Down the gunman despite sustaining gunshot wounds during a very, very brutal assault.
Imagine how much violence we could end if everybody knew and everybody felt down to their core that if they commit an egregious act of violence, they will die. There's no chance of them surviving simply because everyone in the population is armed and willing to defend themselves. Imagine how little violence we would have in this world, certainly in this country. You know, there's been philosophers out there, and there's been stories and sci-fi stories and all these things about societies that created one punishment for all crimes, and that is death. The government comes in and we will create the laws, and you will follow those laws, and if you break any law, you will die because you are a lawbreaker. If you're a big government guy and you want a safe society, you might go along with that. You might go along with that. I mean, certainly it'd make a safer society, wouldn't it? Generally. But would you want the government having that much power? Do you think those guns would ever get turned on the evildoers that are writing laws? I think it's a much better idea to create a society where the government is very small and the individual is very big. And each individual is considered a strong and powerful and worthwhile entity, and not just a number on a spreadsheet. I prefer that everyone that takes breath have worth. And the only way to assure that is to assure that they have the right to defend themselves.
Melania and I are grateful for their heroism and praying for the swift recovery of all victims. Congressman Scalise is a friend, and a very good friend. He's a patriot, and he's a fighter. He will recover from this assault. And Steve, I want you to know that you have the prayers not only of the entire city behind you, but of an entire nation and, frankly, the entire world. America is praying for you, and America is praying for all of the victims of this terrible shooting.
You know, I got to tell you, I don't like this. I don't, Donald. This is not a time to be reading from a teleprompter and looking like you're reading. He's not even looking at the camera. Notice that? No, he's looking off because he's not good on teleprompter. And someone came out because he's turned all political these days, I guess. And someone came out and said, read this, just do it, and you'll look presidential. Blah, 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 blah. No, that's not who we elected. We elected the guy that goes out and tells people to shove it in their ass. That's who we elected. And that's who I want to see right now. I want to see someone come out and speak like I'm speaking. Right to the enemies of America. And those enemies aren't just foreign, they're domestic as well. And they hold another seat in the House, Senate of states all over the country. There is an enemy. It's an evil enemy. It is an enemy within, and they are perfectly willing to end your life.
I spoke with Steve's wife, Jennifer, and I pledged to her our full and absolute support. Anything she needs, we're with her and with the entire state.
Does your wife do a pot roast? Is that how you do? That's what I want to see. That's what I see. Just the Trumps. Little guy, got the lady here walking up to the door. They got one of those clear glass sort of baking trays with just the aluminum foil crinkled around the side. And there's a nice casserole in there. We're here for you. Wouldn't that be fun? It'd feel like America. It'd feel like the Midwest. Isn't that what we do? I've been a party to that before. You know, through churches and stuff, and somebody's having a hard time, and you know, everybody just comes by, and here's a little thing. It'd be fun for the president to do something like that, but you know, that wouldn't look very presidential, would it?
Family. I have also spoken with Chief Matthew Verderosa. He's doing a fantastic job of the Capitol Police to express our sympathies for his wounded officers and to express my admiration for their courage. Our brave Capitol Police perform a challenging job with incredible skill, and their sacrifice makes democracy possible. We also commend the brave first responders from Alexandria Police Fire and Rescue.
Are we going to ever talk about the bad people
to the scene?
Like it all?
Everyone on
Let's
that
move forward.
Field, in times like these, to remember that everyone who serves in our nation's capital is here because, above all, they love our country.
Okay, no, I can't. No, that's not why people serve in Washington as represented officials. It's not. They love our country. No, they don't. They serve in Washington because being an elected person is a great career move. It's wonderful being elected. It's fantastic being in a federal job. You can't get fired. No one can come after you. You never go to jail. You can steal as much as you want. And you think they do it because they love America? They love mooching off of America. They love stealing your stuff. But they don't do it because they love you or love your family or love this country. They do it because they love power. I'm tired of the rhetoric. I'm tired of the flowery language. I'm tired of the garbage. I'm tired of the bullshit. Say something real. Stand up. Call out who the enemy is. You know, we complain, and I'm going to have to wrap this up because I'm losing my mind over this stuff. Absolutely losing my mind over this stuff. And, you know, we complain when the left comes out. A terrorist attack happens, and it's been happening for a long time. The left comes out, and they blame everything, and they're talking about other stuff. And it was us and our foreign policy that drove people to commit acts of terrorism. And then the right comes out and says, you know, we're never going to solve terror unless we call out who the terrorists are. Donald Trump comes out and said, radical Muslim terrorists or radical Islamic terrorists. Fine, that's good. And I agree. You cannot start a war, and you certainly cannot win a war unless you know who you're fighting and why. That's the first step. Number one, you know who the enemy is, and then you go after the enemy. You got to figure out a plan of attack to go after the enemy. Number one, who's the enemy? And the left absolutely won't say that radical Islamic terror is the enemy. They won't say that there's a problem with Islam. They won't say that there's a problem with these communities, even though the evidence is, there's more evidence of that than there are books and laws in all of Washington and the states put together. They won't say it. But then again, in this situation, neither will the Republicans. Who's the enemy? Who is the enemy? Well, let me tell you who the enemy is. And it's okay, you can say this. Republicans, conservatives, you can say this because none of these people are ever going to vote for you anyway. So why not call them out on their crap? Who's the enemy? Anyone that goes out and burns down cities. Anyone that puts on all black and starts a riot on a college campus to keep a gay conservative speaker from opening his mouth. Those are the enemy. Who's the enemy? The radical left in Congress that maintains this stuff. The radical media out there that continually push a conspiracy theory about Russian intervention into the election because they don't like who the American people chose to be their leader. Who's the enemy? The enemy are the group of people that's quite massive that I talk about on a daily basis that's perfectly fine with committing acts of violence against you because they believe and have been conditioned to believe that they are morally right. That's the enemy. The left is the enemy. How do you call them out? You scream in the faces of everyone that has a voice that stands by these people in any way, shape, or form. You call them out on it on a moral basis. You are an immoral person. If you advocate for violence or if you, quote, understand why this violence would happen or you make an excuse for it, then you are the enemy, period. End of story. And until you do that, until you have the spine to stand up and scream in these people's faces on a daily basis that you are morally wrong and bankrupt, then this sort of stuff will continue to happen. That's all I've got for today, man. Probably no one was watching this. I don't know how many people are. I'm going to have to cut it up because the first half didn't have audio on it, but this whole thing just drives me nuts. And, you know, heard people complaining, conservative commentators. Oh, you've got all these people out there that are just trying to, try to capitalize off this. Try to capitalize off this? What are you talking about? I've been saying this for as long as I've been on the radio. As long as I've had a talk show. That started 5 years ago. I've certainly done it the entire time I've been on the internet here, and I will continue to do it in the future because I'm not saying anything different today than I haven't said for the past 5 years. I know who these people are. I know what they're capable of. I know what history shows us they will do to gain power, and we have to stop them because this point in time is only going to expand. And by the way, as the shooting happens today, the Mueller investigation says they're going after Trump for obstruction of justice. See how this works? What should Trump do tomorrow? Fire Mueller. Fire Mueller. And any college campus that has any of these radical protests on it, Berkeley, shut it down. I don't mean take their funding away. I mean clear out the buildings, send the National Guard, and shut it down. Done. It's not acceptable. We will not allow it to happen in our cities. Period. Make a bold move and say no. Do it now. Because tomorrow we might not have a chance.